Donald Trump's time in office can be summed up in three themes: self-interest, revenge, and now, oddly, interior decorating. Lately, he's been more focused on changing the look of buildings than doing the actual job. His latest stunt at the Kennedy Center, likely meant to distract from growing controversies, ended in an awkward moment when he appeared unable to speak clearly. Let's take a quick look at how this unusual episode began.
Actually announced the incredibly talented artists who will be celebrated later this year at the 2025 Kennedy Center Honors. It's going to be a big evening. I've been asked to host. I said, I'm the President of the United States. Are you fools asking me to do that? Sir, you'll get much higher ratings. I said, I don't care. I'm President of the United States. I won't do it. They said, please. And then Susie Wells said to me, sir, I'd like you to host. I said, okay, Susie, I'll do it. That's the power she's got. But I just, so I have agreed to host. Do you believe what I have to do? And I didn't want to do it, okay? They're going to say, he insisted. I did not insist. But I think it will be quite successful, actually.
It's like those stories certain political figures tell about being approached in airports by adoring fans. Stories that often sound made up. In reality, this latest moment seemed more like Donald Trump wanting to play TV host than do the actual work of governing. Instead of focusing on real issues, he spent time listing movie titles in a rambling way, highlighting just how misplaced his priorities are.
Great guy. Next, we look forward to honoring three-time Oscar nominee, Golden Globe Award winner, an action movie icon, and a friend of mine. He's a very unique man. He's somebody that doesn't do these things. I said, I wonder if he'll accept, because some people don't really want to be honored. They don't care. But he was very honored to be honored, I will tell you. He's a very special guy. A real talent, never been given the credit for the talent. There was nobody else could have done the roles that he did like he did. I'm not even close, and they've tried, and they didn't work out too well. His name is Sylvester Stallone. So it's very few, almost, if any, people that could have taken a name and made it so incredible, like Rocky, Rambo, Creed, and others. But think of it, Rocky, Rambo, if you did one, you're good. You do two. And I'll never forget, I was a young guy, and I went to see a thing called Rambo, and it had just come out. I didn't know anything about it, but I was in a movie theater, like we used to go to movie theaters a lot. And I said, this movie is phenomenal. What the heck? And that turned out to be a monster. Rocky is Rocky. I mean, the way that happened, you know, Sly had no...
This level of disorganization is unlike anything we've seen before. Trump's latest move feels less like leadership and more like a distraction, not just from the media's focus, but from his own controversies. It's as if his team gives him light, feel-good topics to keep him busy, letting him ramble about movies or bands he can't even name instead of addressing serious issues.
It's an honor to present Kiss. Thank you very much. Got it? Yeah. Thank you.
It's becoming clear that Trump is struggling. During most of that press conference, he couldn't read smoothly, stumbled over his words, and lost his train of thought. Unless he landed on one of his usual fixations, where suddenly he could go on at length.
That and doing some other things, and we're going to also fix up a place called Washington, D.C. We're going to make it so beautiful again. We're going to be redoing the parks, redoing the grass. You know, grass is a lifetime, like people have a lifetime. And the lifetime of this grass has long been gone. When you look at the parks where the grass is old, tired, exhausted, we're going to redo the grass with the finest grasses. I know a lot about grass because I own a lot of golf courses, and if you don't have good grass, you're not in business very long, Lindsey Graham. By the way, you have very good poll numbers, Lindsey. I just saw. Congratulations.
This is our president, more focused on talking about grass and Lindsey Graham's poll numbers while inflation rises and the economy faces real trouble. And it's not just his strange decorating projects he mishandles, it's the economy too. As Lawrence O'Donnell recently explained, the situation is about to get even worse. Let's take a look.
Paul Krugman is back by popular demand, even though one prominent viewer with no influence over this program attacked Professor Krugman after his last appearance here. Donald Trump leveled an insult at Paul Krugman, far worse than anything ever said about a Nobel Prize winning economist, but not as bad as many of the things Donald Trump has said about me. Professor Krugman will be given an opportunity here tonight to reply to Donald Trump's insult, if he dares. But we begin our discussion with some of the economic news of the day. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, rose by 3.1% last month, the fastest annual pace in 5 months, the New York Times reports. The July data, which was released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, provides a clear sign that businesses are being affected by tariffs. Some have begun to pass along those related costs more readily to their customers after a prolonged period of muted price gains. The economy is weaker because of tariffs, said Stephen Stanley, chief U.S. economist at Santander. Businesses are being very cautious. They're not investing. They're not hiring, he added, noted that consumers were also pulling back in the face of higher prices. And predictably, at 10:24 a.m., Donald Trump tweeted, quote, "Tariffs have not caused inflation or any other problems for America other than massive amounts of cash pouring into our Treasury's coffers. 100% of the tariff cash pouring into the Treasury comes from the United States of America, and only the United States of America. No foreign country has ever paid and never will pay a tariff imposed by this country. And there is only one president in the history of the United States who publicly insists that he doesn't comprehend that simple fact about tariffs. Every penny of the $130 billion that the United States Treasury has collected in tariffs so far this year has been paid by Americans, American companies and individuals who have imported foreign goods into this country. They have paid those tariffs at the port of entry here in the United States. And they paid the tariffs directly to the federal government officials who collect those tariffs from Americans who pay them at the ports of entry here in the United States. And so if a federal court of appeals and the United States Supreme Court agree with the United States Court of International Trade, the experts on tariffs, and rule that those tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional, all of the tariff money that has been collected might have to be refunded and would go to Americans, which makes Donald Trump's lawyer's letter to the appeals court hearing the case against his tariffs all the more absurd. The United States Court of International Trade, which is the federal court that specializes in international trade, unanimously ruled that the Trump tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional. That case is now on appeal, and Donald Trump's Justice Department lawyer actually told the appeals court today in writing, quote, "If the United States were forced to pay back the trillions of dollars committed to us, America could go from strength to failure the moment such an incorrect decision took effect." So that's Donald Trump's lawyer lying and telling the court that trillions of dollars have been committed to the United States. That's a lie. And telling the court that if the $130 billion in tariff money illegally collected by Donald Trump has to be returned to Americans, that would be a problem. Donald Trump cut the taxes of the highest earning Americans by $1 trillion, gave them $1 trillion. The Trump lawyer's letter to the appeals court said, The president believes that a forced dissolution of the agreements could lead to a 1929-style result. In such a scenario, people would be forced from their homes, millions of jobs would be eliminated, hardworking Americans would lose their savings, and even Social Security and Medicare could be threatened. That's the Trump prediction for giving Americans back the $130 billion that Donald Trump illegally took from them. It's a tiny amount of money within the context of the full American economy and the federal budget of the United States of America. The Wall Street Journal mocked the ridiculous Trump letter to the court as, quote, a doomsday tariff letter today.
Is this really where we are? A president making impulsive choices that either make the White House look worse or damage the global economy. It's not only harmful, it's embarrassing and exhausting, but we'll keep calling it out here every day. If you'd like to support the work, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.